Hey, friends, wanted to talk to you about three questions that everybody is answering. And what's unique is that the couples I work with that are in their 20s and 30s are really actually answering some of these questions for the first time, and others are re-answering these questions for the second time, maybe even the third time, maybe even the fourth time, and that's okay. But as you can imagine, if these questions were answered before the relationship was established, and now that there was a establishment of a relationship, you can imagine that these answers will probably either complement one the other or may even rub one over the other and cause some frustration, some conflict, some hesitation, some sadness, especially when one maybe changes the answer post wedding of their answers to these questions. So, what are these questions that you're asking? Well, I'm so glad you asked. The first question is uh, master. Who is or what is my master? You see, we are all following some higher power. I come from the Christian worldview, so I believe that the master that I'm pursuing is the Christian triune God. And so that may not be your place, and that's okay. And you're welcome to this conversation, regardless of who or what your master is or what that looks like to you. But just so that you know, from where I'm coming from, that's what I'm pursuing is a relationship with a God who loves me and has a plan for my life, and I believe has a plan for your life and loves you just as much as anybody else in this world. And so if you're maybe not into the God thing, well, maybe money is your thing. Maybe money is your master. Maybe you're in the camp of, hey, I am going to pursue my master of money, my master of fame, my master of whatever. And no bad. There's no judgment in it. But you are answering a question, and all of us are providing an answer to this question. And it really is an important question to be answering. And in our 20s and 30s, we are really discovering about what is or who is my master, because the reality is, if you think about that, this is a triangle. Master is at the top, right? Your master will give direction to these bottom two that we're going to talk about here as well. And whenever I was in college, I made that decision that my master, while I don't live it perfectly and I never will live it perfectly, is always going to be following a God that loves me and calls me to love other people. And so that's what I put my energy into. That's what I was really even looking to grow my life in, and really pass on to even my children now. See, the master really sets the tone of what I'm up to next and where I'm going next. And so who or what is my master? Because see, my master will then probably determine my mission. Where am I going? What's my calling? What's my why? Right? These are the questions that answer this specific thought and question of what is my mission in life? Why am I here? And see, your master will help you dictate what your mission is, and your mission will help you live out the worship of your master. And if there is a disconnect, they will pull from each other or they will complement each other. Now, why am I telling you this, especially when it comes to your marriage? And why am I telling you this when it comes to relationship with your spouse or your partner? Well, let's be honest. In finding, in walking in that space, you can probably understand where a lot of people in marriage are finding that they are worshiping two different masters, or that their masters are changing over time. It used to be God, but now it is career, or it was career, and now it's children, or it was you, but now it's maybe the kids. So you used to be my master. I was all about you. It was all about each other and just us. And now it's maybe the kids. Now it's maybe the career. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. Maybe it's fame and fortune. I don't care. But the answer might be changing if we're honest, and it probably will change a little bit. Now, it's not meaning that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Sometimes it's actually a very necessary thing. I have friends who have mastered addictions and mastered and worshipped severe and dangerous substance abuse. And so I would say it was great whenever they had their aha moment, their breakthrough, their revelation, whatever you want to call it, and they actually got clear on a newer master that was loving, that was for them, that believed in them, that was actually healthy for them. And then that changed the relationship with their mission. and what they were doing with their lives and how they were going about living out their lives, because at one point it was this dangerous path of hurt and pain and suffering, and now it is to give and serve and love the world. And then the third question is, who is my mate? Who is going to be the one that comes alongside of me? And that is the bottom of the triangle. And all three have equal values. In fact, all three come into play with one another, because like I said before, what our master will help us determine our mission, and our master will also help us determine who the person is that we decide to walk alongside of for the rest of our lives. And that person will also help us carry out the mission that we believe, our why or our focus, that we decide to walk through. And in the opposite, they will pull from each other if imbalanced, or if out of sync, or if not done, if not carried out in unity, right? If there's rub, my mate may push me away from my mission, may pull me away from my God or my master, right? And so, as you can imagine, if these things change, and they probably will change, who are we is a significant question. And I can tell you in my life, one of the things that I'm extremely grateful for was having married somebody who has the same master as me, but has a different viewpoint of that master. So, as you can imagine, all three of these make up us as individuals. These three questions are also questions that provide answers to who we are as a couple. Because, like I said, if we're going in the same direction and we have the same mission, even though we may be two individuals who experience that differently as to why we're doing what we're doing, or what we're like, what we do with our lives. One parent may decide to stay home while the other parent may work outside the home, or maybe both partners work outside the home and in their unique settings and their unique callings, and that's complementary of who they are to the other person and how they worship their master together. Excuse me. So it's really important that we have frequent conversations in marriage about, hey, what are my answers to these questions? Because let's be honest, what they were whenever I was 20 is very different than what they are whenever I'm now 30 or 40 or 50. And the fact of the matter is that we see a significant change in our transitional years of adulthood, which are really between those 20 to 30 years of age, where we're really discovering, hey, like, who is my master? Hey, who is my mate going to be? Or who am I? Like, what am I doing with my life? Right? Like, and these aren't bad questions, but they can be pretty intimidating, because especially whenever we have expectations about what was maybe said before. Like, I know if you're anything like me and my wife, we had dreams, right? We said that this is what we'd like life to look like once we're 25. Well, a little older than that, because I was 25 when we got married, but 30 and 40 and 50. And lo and behold, things happen. Crisis happens. Hardship happens. We change. And the answers to these questions by default also might change. Not guaranteed, but they might. And just to ask that question of, hey, how do we worship this master together? How are we building into rhythms into our life of this worship towards this master that we're going towards together? And by the way, you may find yourself not even following the same master, which could be painful. I mean, let's be honest. If one spouse's master is their career, while the other spouse's master is maybe the children or their health or something, whatever, pick a topic, any topic, there may be some of you that experience a level of heartbreak and sadness and loneliness. I can't tell you how many mothers, particularly, I work with that can get very frustrated with their husbands who are very career focused while they have a house full of young children. And they are asking this question of, are we walking towards the same master? And the answer might be no. And if it is no, no bad. But now what? What does that mean? Who are we going to be? Not what are we going to do about it, but who are we in light of this new reality. Because if there's a commitment to still be in the triangle, you can still keep pressing on and still caring for each other and still loving one another and even still loving the children. And if you don't have kids, well, okay, great. If you're in a place where one is saying, I want to do this with my career, and the other one is saying, well, I don't think we need to do this with your career. I think you need to do XYZ or stay where you're at. Okay, well, no bad, but you can still press on if we're willing to have a conversation. If the same argument happens over and over and over again, don't be surprised if there's some bitterness and resentment and some judgments that start percolating and start showing up in the rhythms of your relationship, and maybe in the process start changing the mission that you're focused on, and maybe even start affecting the way that you view your mate in this process, which ultimately will both probably pull you away from the master that you both said that you were worshiping or following after. Friends, we need to be answering these questions because they are being answered, whether consciously or subconsciously. They are being provided. And my job is to hold that space for you and your spouse to have clarity over these types of answers. Because number one, they're not meant to be answered alone. You get to own the outcomes. Absolutely. Yes, it's your life, right? But you weren't created to do this solo. You're invited to do this in a way that involves relationship and care and support. And it's okay. It's actually necessary to do this in a place where you are supported, to stay in the triangle, to live in the triangle. That, from what I've been told, in engineering is actually the strongest shape. So, how do we keep that shape strong? We go to the table with honesty, vulnerability, creativity, curiosity, invitation to reinvent and be okay with what is, or have clarity of where we're going. Our master, our mission, our mate. 3 questions that we are constantly asking, especially in our 20s and 30s, that will really show the trajectory of our lives for the years and decades to follow. That's my commitment to you, is answering those questions, standing in those conversations, seeing the results that you're committed to in answering those questions, and seeing the beautiful transformation that is possible so that you can worship and follow your master the way that you believe you are called to worship and follow, and connect and find and experience that intimacy, that integrity, that intentionality with your mate that you are also experiencing with yourself in living out your mission that you believe is specific to your life. Thanks, friends.